Welcome back to I've Got a Plan, the video podcast edition. I know it's been a long time since I have uploaded a video, and for that I apologize, but I've been having some problems with the computer stuff and file transfers and that sort of thing. But in the meantime, I have been cranking out scenarios on my audio podcast, which you can find on SoundCloud. Some of you, I think, are fans of both, but if you aren't subscribed to my audio podcast, please do that. I put out a lot of content there. Including we are just finishing up a Dream Eaters campaign with two different teams, one with Jenny Barnes and William Yorick on the Waking side, and Agnes Baker and Carolyn Fern on the Dream side. And then I'm also doing a Forgotten Age, not a Return to Forgotten Age, that's not out yet, but Forgotten Age run on hard with Rita and Finn. So those are my current campaigns going right now on the audio podcast. I'll put the link to the SoundCloud below in the description of this video. But we are back with Mark and Lola, where last we left our intrepid couple here. They were headed through the streets of Paris in the Phantom of Truth scenario. We were able to escape the organist and move on to the catacombs, which is where we find ourselves here for the Pallid Mask, one of my favorite scenarios. I like the fact that it just sort of resembles a bit of a dungeon crawl. I'm a sucker for dungeon crawls. And this scenario is as dungeon crawly as Arkham Horror, the card game, gets. It reminds me of a very cool little one-player card game by the name of the Dungeon of D. If you haven't ever seen that before or tried it out, there's a series of them, the Isle of D and the Dungeon of D, but the Dungeon of D is the best one. And the entire game is played with one deck of cards, and it's a very complex, very involved game that includes 17 or 18 different characters that you can play. Anyway, check it out, the Dungeon of D. Free print and play game, doesn't cost you a penny, you just gotta print off some stuff. So welcome back, of course, with Mark and Lola. We are going to be continuing this on standard difficulty. We've made a couple adjustments to the decks between scenarios. Mark has not made any adjustments to his deck. I have 2 XP to spend, but we're saving that 2 XP to be able to buy another set of grenades once I get a couple more, hopefully in this scenario. Lola just did some switcheroos to be able to provide her a little bit better damage soak. I added in a copy of Something Worth Fighting For, and I added in a Winging It to be able to do a little bit of recursion from the discard pile, and used Adaptable to swap out a couple cards, nothing major. Lola has been, despite being panned by the community, I really like Lola, and I think she's fun to play. The deck I'm piloting here is a deck made by good old Matastrophic. He has been putting out quality decks for a long time. And Matastrophic has a deck on Arkham DB, which is a Lola Hayes deck that I have started this campaign with his exact deck that he recommended. Then I've leveled it up a little bit differently than he did. And we are going to be traveling through the catacombs of Paris. A couple setup notes here. We did not interview Ishimaru Haruko in The Last King, and so we do not have any sort of extra secret access to the catacombs here. We did, however, go in on our own. So we are at the Gate to Hell, which is a one-shroud location with 4 clues. It is adjacent to a location above and below it, but I don't know anything about either of those 2 locations because we did not interview Ishimaru. In this scenario, if you have interviewed Ishimaru, then you get to flip over one of those and start a little bit of a head start to get up and running. So a one-shroud location is real easy. Even for Mark, has a pretty good shot of being able to grab some clues there without any extra assistance. And hopefully Lola can snag some and we can get moving. The Chaos bag right now contains the standard setup for this scenario, or for this campaign, plus I have 2 cultist tokens in the bag. And cultist tokens for this scenario are going to be -2. If this token is revealed during an attack and the skill test is successful, the attack deals 1 less damage. So that's certainly not great for killing enemies, but it does not set you back too terribly much when you're playing with Mark, who has lots of damage dealing potential. The skulls in this scenario are -X, and X is the distance from the starting location, which is here at the Gate to Hell. For those of you that are newly watching this particular video and didn't watch any of the prior videos in the series, this little color strip over here is for Lola Hayes. I use this to indicate what role that she is currently in, and we can swap between them. And then they run from left to right with Guardian, Seeker, Rogue, Mystic, and Survivor. I also have a neutral role, and then this little X marker here is to keep track of when I have actually made the switch on my turn, because you're only allowed to do that once. So I will mark that. In fact, I'll grab another token. I'll mark that with a little red bead to show that I have done her switch for the turn. Just a little memory aid to make sure, as I'm trying to manage 2 investigators, that I don't forget whether Lola did her thing or not. So with that said, I think we're ready to go. Let's draw a couple starting hands and see how this scenario serves us up life or death. Let's draw Mark Harrigan's starting hand. He has a starting 5-card hand, and Lola has a starting 7-card hand because she also has 2 copies of Studious. So let's see what we got. Mark's going to give a little shuffle here and deal out 5 cards. And Mark's 5 cards are Let Me Handle This, Steadfast, the Home Front, which is one of Mark's, this is Mark's signature, another copy of Steadfast, and some grenades. In fact, my only grenades. So a lot of this deck's theme is about taking grenades and making them reliable and well-maintained, and using the Venturer to keep them topped up and just blowing everything up with grenades. So I will certainly keep the grenades. I spent 4 XP for them. Let's keep those. I'll keep a copy of the Home Front because that's terrific for being able to do a little more damage also. None of the rest of these cards are going to particularly help me with investigating right off the bat, but I think 1 copy of Steadfast is keepable because right at the very beginning of the game, that's going to give me a triple willpower icon for helping with a Mythos phase test. So I'll keep Steadfast, the Home Front, and the grenades, and I think I will hold off on Let Me Handle This and Steadfast. And I'll put those 2 back, and I'll draw 2 new cards, which are a 32 Colt and an On the Hunt. Okay, so Mark's got some good fighting ability right off the bat, somewhat unsurprisingly. The 32 Colt is really good with Mark because he starts with 5 fight right off the bat, and the 32 Colt doesn't give you any sort of boost, but it does come with 6 ammo. So it's a pretty cheap way to get some damage going. I'm starting with 5 resources with Mark. And then Lola's starting hand of 7 cards is as follows. Okay, well we've got, let's see, I've got a weakness here. We've got Crisis of Identity, and that is not needed. So let's replace that with a Drawn to the Flame. Excellent, I'm happy to see that. Okay, so Lola's got some nice stuff here. She has one of her improvisations. This is her signature asset and a great thing to have. I've got 2 copies of Elusive. Early on, that's not going to be very needed, so I'll throw those back. We're in a very small, tight map right up front. I've got an Emergency Cache, which I think is keepable right now. I do only start with 5 resources. And I've got a Drawn to the Flame, a David Renfield. You know what? If I keep the Renfield, our first Doom threshold is 6. I might be able to get that up and running, make a little cash early. Yeah, let's throw the Emergency Cache back and keep the David Renfield. He goes well in Mystic with the Drawn to the Flame. And then I will also get rid of the Active Desperation because I don't have anything to be desperate about at the very beginning. So I need to draw Lola 4 more cards, keeping Renfield, Drawn to the Flame, and Improvisation. And then her 4 new remaining cards are Unexpected Courage, a Silver Twilight Acolyte, that's an enemy, or a weakness, we'll get rid of that. Hyper Awareness, that's the level 0 version. Could be good, definitely could be good as far as being able to get some investigations done on harder shroud locations, given that I'm going to be making some cash with David Renfield. Another David Renfield, which is actually not bad to have duplicate David Renfields, because you can use, you can really milk the first one and then overwrite it with the second one. And a copy of Enchanted Blade, level 0. So did not get a fingerprint kit, which I'm a little bit sad about, but that's a pretty nice starting hand. I've got a lot of mystic stuff, so I can get my mystic stuff down and then switch out. And a couple neutrals, which are nice to play also. All right, and those are our starting hands. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's enter the first investigation phase. I don't really want to worry too much about getting the Drawn to the Flame going early, because that's a low shroud location that we're at right now, and the bag as it is, you're pretty good at +2. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just start with Lola, and let's get some investigation on. I do want to get Renfield up and running, though, right off the bat. So I'm going to start in Mystic. So let's go ahead and start ourselves a Mystic. And Lola's going to go first and play a David Renfield for 2 resources, which is going to then immediately exhaust. I will put a Doom on David Renfield. That'll be 1 Doom out of 6 on the agenda. And I will generate myself a resource, putting me back at 4. That also increases Lola's willpower up to 4, as long as David Renfield is exhausted or has a Doom on him. And then, just to be able to protect a little bit here against my weakness, let's swap into Seeker. And that'll be my swap for the turn. And then let's investigate a couple times. So Lola will investigate at 3-1. And 3-1 draws me a +1. How's that for a starting token? So I'll grab a clue. And then for my third action, I will be going with another investigate at 3-1. And that's a -1, which is also successful. The bag is pretty friendly right now. The closer you are to the starting location, the friendlier the bag is, because the skulls are 0s. And that's 2 clues. So that's what we need to be able to spend to move to these adjacent locations. So Lola's got at least that set up. Mark probably could go ahead and head out. I think that's probably the right thing to do. But let's get him set up a little bit first. So I will spend my first action with Mark to play the grenades. Let's see, I'll set those right here. Are those in the view of the camera? Yes, they are. All right, and those have 3 supplies. There are 3 grenades on them. And cost 3 resources out of my 5. That's action number 1. And I'll go ahead and investigate with Mark also. Yeah, let's get this moving. I'll investigate with Mark at 2-1. +1 is also not a bad place to be. And 2-1 gets me an Elder Sign. That's pretty nice. Mark's Elder Sign is just +1 for each damage on him, which right now is nothing. So I am sitting at 2-1, which gets me a clue. And then for my third action, I'm going to, let's see, I would like to play On the Hunt and get a resource, and play the Cult probably. I'm just going to take a resource for my third action with Mark to bring him back to 3. I want to get his kit set up as soon as I can, and if I draw any well-maintains or any reliables, I'd like to get those out on the grenades as well. In fact, I'm going to move the grenades a little closer to the middle here and move Mark's little marker here. All right, and that's the 3 actions for each of my investigators. And we are going to be looking at the enemy phase, which has nothing going on. And then we're going to move on to reset. And Mark's card that he draws on upkeep is a Smoking Pipe, which is going to be a nice way to take a little damage and draw some cards. Also a good way to heal horror. And I'll take a resource putting me at 4. Lola will draw a card, which is a Holy Rosary, also really nice. Gets her up to 5 willpower now. And we'll take a resource to put her back at 5. And then we're heading on to the first Mythos phase. All right, Mythos phase number 1, Doom number 1 out of 6 on the agenda. And we're going to go ahead and draw some encounter cards. Mark's encounter card is, and do I want to do On the Hunt here? Let's see. No, we're both in the same location. I think that's fine, I'll just draw. And Mark's card is Grasping Hands. Test agility 3 for each point you fail by, take a damage. Okay, well this is, a little bit of damage would be okay on Mark. I'm not too terribly sad about that. I don't have anything to commit anyway. Although Lola could commit to this. Nope, we're good. We'll just do agility 3, test it right straight up. And the Chaos Bag says -2. All right, so Mark fails that by 2, and so he takes 2 damage, putting him at 2 out of 9. Now, after damage is placed on Mark, I get to draw a card. And so Mark draws a card, which is an Enchanted Blade level 3. Okay, very glad to see that. Give me a second weapon to be able to deal with enemies when they show up. And let's see, anything else I need to do there? Nope. Nothing there. Okay, so then Lola is next, and her encounter card is The Pit Below. The Pit Below reads, Revelation, attached to your location if there is no copy of The Pit Below attached, and it isn't. Attached location gets +1 shroud. At the end of the round, each investigator at the attached location takes 3 damage and discard the Pit Below. All right, well, I will not be wanting to do that. So won't be wanting to deal with that at least. So the Pit Below gets attached to the Gate of Hell, and we're just going to need to get out of there by the end of the round. Now, there is only 1 clue left on the Gate of Hell, and I'd like to get it before we get out of here, but we certainly have plenty of ways of doing that. No enemies hanging around us right now, so we're sort of free to do our thing. I'm going to go ahead and start. I'm in Seeker right now with Lola. So let's go ahead and stay in Seeker. And I will play Hyper Awareness. So I'll just go ahead and play Hyper Awareness. That cost me 2 resources. And then I will spend my first action to investigate, spending 1 resource on Hyper Awareness to investigate at 4 to 2. The Pit Below has an extra shroud, so I've got to go 4 to 2. And the Chaos Bag says +1. Well, that was a bit of a wasted money, but that's okay. I take that last clue. And then for Rita's second action, let's go ahead and get out of here. I'm going to move south. So Rita is going to spend her second action to move into the catacombs to the south. That costs 2 clues as a group spent, so Lola will spend both of them. Now they each have 1 clue. And the catacombs to the south is the Well of Souls. All right, this is a 4 shroud and 2 clue location. And I'm already looking at you drawn to the flame. Forced, after you end your turn at Well of Souls, you must either take a direct horror or discard 2 random cards from your hand. All right, that's not too bad. And then when the Well of Souls is revealed, put the topmost catacomb in the Catacombs deck into play above, below, or to the right. So the Well of Souls only has 1 connection. I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the right. We'll just put that right there. And it is a victory 1 location. So if I can clear this off of clues, I'll be able to get myself a victory point. And Lola is there for her second action. Yeah, let's see. And after you end your turn here, I certainly, I'll probably end my turn here, but that's fine. A direct horror is okay for Lola right now. I have a Holy Rosary I could get into play to soak a little bit. I'm okay with that. And I'm going to go ahead for Lola's third action, and I'm going to take her free swap into Mystic. I forgot to mark that. I'm going to take her swap into Mystic, and I will use David Renfield, put another Doom on him. That puts us at 3 out of 6. That's fine. I can always kill him with the direct horror if I felt like it. And I'll take 2 more resources, putting Lola at 4. And then I will spend my third action to play Drawn to the Flame. And Drawn to the Flame allows me to draw the top card of the encounter deck and then discover the 2 clues at my location. So that seems like a good trade right now. The top card of the encounter deck for Lola is Crypt Chill. Okay, test willpower 4. If you fail, choose and discard an asset you control. All right, well, that could be a good way to get rid of David Renfield, though I would like to get rid of him under my own terms a little bit more. I will commit a card to this. I will commit an Unexpected Courage to this and go 6 to 4. I'm currently at 4 to 4 because of David Renfield, so I'm going to go ahead and go 6 to 4. And 6 to 4 gets me a Cultist, which is -2 and no other effects. All right, good. So I passed the Crypt Chill. Crypt Chill is discarded. The Unexpected Courage is discarded, and the Drawn to the Flame goes off. And so I do get both of the clues on that location. And that puts us in pretty good shape there. Lola now has 3 clues, and we also earned ourselves a victory point. So hooray. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and take Mark's turn. That was Lola's 3 actions. Yeah, I'm going to be risking being in Mystic. If David Renfield bites it because I draw my weakness, then so be it. I'll stay in Mystic. Once I get my Holy Rosary down and my Enchanted Blade, I'm going to want to get out of Mystic at the end of the round. So we'll see what happens. But that gives Mark a whole turn of nothing much to do as far as enemies go. So I think we'll just explore a little bit more, see if we can't spread this space out a little bit. So Mark will spend his first action to move down to the Well of Souls. I will spend my second action to move into the catacombs over here to the east. Now that's going to cost two clues, but Mark has 1 and Lola has 3, and as long as they're spent by somebody at that location as a group, that's okay. So Mark spends 1, Lola spends 1, and Mark will move into this next catacombs location, which is the Narrow Shaft. All right. Forced, when you would move from the Narrow Shaft to an unrevealed location, test Agility 3. If you fail, take a damage and cancel the effects of the move. Okay, so it's hard to get through there. And then the topmost catacombs goes to the either above or to the right. Do I want to be above or to the right? Above would put me next to the gates of hell here, and give me another way to get to that location. Yeah, neither one of us is particularly good at getting through that narrow shaft. Yeah, I'll go ahead and go above. Let me move the pit below here. And this is a 2 shroud with 2 clues. I can send Lola, and it's also a victory point location, so that's kind of good. So that was 2 actions for Mark. I actually could use Sophie to be able to get out of that location. Yeah, I'm going to go to the right. I prefer to build a bit of a line of locations at the beginning rather than a clump because of the bad stuff that shows up back at the doors. I'd rather have it take a little time to get to me. So yeah, I will go to the right. And then Mark has 1 more action available. And I think I would like to go ahead and get my Enchanted Blade into play. Yeah, I'll play my Enchanted Blade. That'll cost 3. Takes up a hand slot and an arcane slot, but I don't have either of those things right now. And I'll spend 3, leaving Mark with only 1 resource. All right, and that's his third action. And that is the end of the investigation phase. So let's see, Mark moved, and played a card. Correct. Okay, and then we're going to go on to the enemy phase. There are no enemies. We reset and upkeep. Mark's new card is an emergency cash. Okay, he's out of money, so that's good. And he will take a resource, putting him at 2. Lola resets. David Renfield will ready. And her card is Take Heart. Okay, nice. That'll be able to get her a little bit of card draw and more resources, so she's set up to be able to spend some cash on this hyper awareness. It also means I survived the round of not losing my David Renfield. All right, now we just got to be careful about Renfield's doom, because he's now sitting at 4 out of 6 as of this next mythos phase. So, speaking of which, let's go to the mythos phase. Doom number 2 on the agenda, and 2 in play equals 4 out of 6 on the agenda. And Mark's encounter card is another Grasping Hands. Okay, sure. I will just do the same thing I did last time and just take that. So 3 to 3. Be a little careful. I don't want to get too much damage on me, or I can't use Sophie effectively. And the Chaos Bag gives me a Cultist, which is -2, so I did fail that, but it doesn't do anything else. So I take 2 more damage. That's a bit of an issue. I'm going to have to draw and see if I can't get some of Mark's healing back. But for now, that's going to put Mark at 4 out of 9 damage, and I will draw a card off the Grasping Hands. And Mark's card draw is a Vicious Blow. Okay, well, we are certainly ready for a bad guy. And that's the mythos phase for Mark. Lola's encounter card is a Ghoul Minion. Okay, so this guy is going to be engaged with Lola. He's a generic 2/2/2 Ghoul. And he's just going to be sitting here engaged with Lola. I'm going to go ahead and just put him right there as a way to remind us that he's engaged. In fact, I'll switch this Enchanted Blade over. I forgot to put charges on the blade. That takes 3 charges. And that's the mythos phase. Heading on to the investigation phase here. Now, I think what I want to do here is Lola doesn't really have a whole lot as far as ways to deal with this Ghoul Minion. And Mark does. Yeah, that seems like a good plan. I'm still in Mystic right now. So let's go ahead and use David Renfield. I'll start with Lola. David Renfield's a fast action, so it doesn't trigger an attack of opportunity with the Ghoul Minion. And I will use Renfield to be able to get a 3rd resource. And I'm going to put a 3rd Doom, so put a 3rd Doom on Renfield and take 3 resources off of him. Okay, and then for my first action, I am going to play the Enchanted Blade for those 3 resources that I just gained. Okay, so that Enchanted Blade comes into play with 3 charges. It's the lower level Enchanted Blade than the one that Mark has. And that will trigger an attack of opportunity from the Ghoul Minion, which hits for a damage and a horror, which I will take on David Renfield. And say, thanks a lot, buddy. It's been great knowing you. So that takes Lola back down to 3 willpower with the copy of David Renfield gone. And then Lola's second action will be to attack the Ghoul Minion with the Enchanted Blade. And let's see, I'm gonna... Do I want to empower the blade? Yeah, let's just try to get this done in one shot. I will spend a charge off the Enchanted Blade, and I'll attack at 5 to 2. And 5 to 2 gets me, hey, an Elder Sign. Very nice. Okay, so for Lola, that's a +2, so it's a big success. The ghoul minion has been killed, and Lola can do a free, I never undid this, Lola can do a free roll swap. She has not done her roll swap this turn yet. I do want to get out of Mystic, but not yet. I'll pass on the free roll swap for now. And then for Lola's third action, I'm going to move into the narrow shaft with Mark. So we're both going to hang out in here. Yep, that's what I'm going to do. And then I will go ahead and take my roll swap over to Survivor. So I'm ready to play a Take Heart if necessary. And then my plan will be next round to switch into Seeker and Hyper Awareness some clues up from here. Because Mark just doesn't have what it takes to be able to get hyper aware. Okay, so Mark would like to be able to get rid of some of this damage, but right now I don't have a good way of doing that. I do have plenty of good ways of killing things right now. So let's go ahead and do some investigation. No harm in investigating here with Mark. I'm just going to go 2 to 2. I will not boost it, and I will not commit anything. So just 2 to 2. And I get a cultist. That's going to be a fail. That's a -2. No other negative effect. I just failed on it. Let's see. I will try again at 2 to 2. Try to sneak a free clue out of this. Nope. Got a -2. Okay, so that's another fail on that check. Okay, that's no good there. So for my third action with Mark, I will go ahead and play the emergency cash and get $3. Putting Mark at $5. And then I'm definitely going to want to on the hunt for next round. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, there's nobody chasing us. This pit below, by the way, is gone. It was gone at the end of last round. And we're moving on to the upkeep. Mark gets his actions back and draws another vicious blow. That's 2. All right, we're ready to definitely deal out some smack to somebody. And I'll take a resource, putting Mark at 6. And then Lola will reset. She will take a resource. I'll draw a card first, which is a fingerprint kit. Very nice. Just what the doctor ordered. And I will take a resource for her, putting her at 9 resources. Thank you, David Renfield. All right, we're on to the Mythos phase. Doom number 3 out of 6 on the agenda, and then there is no Doom in play. And Mark is going to play On the Hunt. So that will be, instead of drawing a card for the Mythos phase, he's going to play On the Hunt. Instead, search the top 9 cards of the encounter deck. This costs 1 resource. For an enemy, spawn it engaged with you and shuffle the encounter deck. So the top 9 cards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let's see what we get. I've got a pit below, eyes in the walls, the malformed skeleton. Now that's tempting because he can be a real pain in the butt. A ghoul minion, a poltergeist, definitely not for Mark. Although actually with the relic, with the enchanted blades, we can deal with those poltergeists. Tempting. Another poltergeist. Okay, so I've got 2 poltergeists. Let's read the malformed skeleton. He's a new monster from the Return to A Path to Carcosa. He is 4 fight, 4 health, and 1 evade. He's a hunter. When he would resolve his hunter keyword, if there are no investigators, he just kind of teleports to be within a space of an investigator. And when it attacks you, it either deals its damage or its horror instead of both. Yeah, I think I'm going to try to kill this thing. This is a good thing to get out of the deck and get it out now. And Mark has a couple good ways to just flat out off this guy. So I'm going to take the malformed skeleton and put him engaged with Mark. Try to get some of the tougher enemies out of the way while we've got some breathing room. And then Lola's encounter card is another The Pit Below. Oh boy, this is bad. We're not in a space where we want to be on the pit below. Wow, okay. Takes the shroud up to 3. Puts a little pressure on us here. Okay, so now we're at a 3 shroud location that we have to be off of, or we take 3 damage at the end of the round. Yikes. So let's definitely get out of here fast. Lola is going to go first so that she can pave the trail for Mark. Yeah, so Lola's first action, first thing she's going to do is take her swap. In fact, I am not going to take her swap. I'm going to play Improvisation. This is a fast card. And every time I say that, I always want to do Tracy Chapman. I got a fast card, but is it fast enough that I can get away? So, Improvisation, Lola Hayes deck only, fast play only during your turn. Switch your roll. Until the end of your turn, reduce the resource cost of the next card you play of your roll by 3. Draw a card. So I'm going to switch into Seeker. And then I'm going to draw a card to replace that. And I draw... Oh, wow, a magnifying glass. Boy, is that beautiful. This is the level 1 magnifying glass, which is fast. So, and I am now in Seeker, so everything's coming up roses. I will spend my first action to play a fingerprint kit. Takes my other hand slot. Oh yeah, I'm going to be out of hand slots. Can't play a magnifying glass until the enchanted blade is gone, but that's okay. The fingerprint kit comes into play with 3 supplies and only costs me 1 resource because of Improvisation. So happy about that. And for my second action, I am going to investigate this location using the fingerprint kit. So I am still in Seeker, so I can go ahead and activate this. And that's going to give me a +1 to my intellect. So I'm at 4 to 3 on this investigation. And I will commit 2 resources on hyper awareness to go 6 to 3. And I drew a skull, which puts me, and see, I'm 1, 2, we're 2 spaces away from the front, so that's a -2, and that is successful. I do have to start keeping track of that. So what that means is a success with the fingerprint kit is that I spend those 2 resources and I get both of these clues. All right, now what we're gonna do is try to test and get out of here with Lola to be able to squeeze through the narrow shaft and get out. So Lola is going to spend her third action to try to move into this next catacombs, spending 2 clues. Actually, she doesn't need to spend the 2 clues yet because I'm not entering it yet. I need to test Agility 3, because if I fail, I'm gonna have to take a damage and cancel the effects of the move, which is gonna be terrible because then I'd be stuck with the pit below. So I do need to commit some stuff to this test. I will put 3 resources from hyper awareness into that test and go 6 to 3 on getting out of here. And 6 to 3 gives me a skull, which is a -2 as we just figured out. So, whew, I made it. All right, so hyper awareness comes in key that turn. I burned through a lot of my money. I'm down to $4, or $3, but I'm out of here. So we are now out of the narrow shaft into the catacombs. We spend 2 of Lola's 4 clues, and the next catacombs location is a mound of bones. All right, this is the one that summons the malformed skeleton. So let's see what it says. When Mound of Bones is revealed, put the top 4 catacombs in the catacombs deck into play above, below, to the left, and to the right of the Mound of Bones. At the end of the current round, search the encounter deck and discard pile for a malformed skeleton and spawn it at the Mound of Bones. All right, the encounter deck and the discard pile. So the malformed skeleton is actually with Mark right now, and I was intending to kill it. The problem is that means at the end of this round, it's going to be spawned back here if I kill it. So I think what Mark needs to do is just evade it, leave it behind, and then we can deal with it next turn. This is a 1 shroud location with 2 clues, so pretty easy to grab those clues. I forgot to take a supply off the fingerprint kit, which now has 2 supplies on it. And we're over to Mark for his 3 actions. So my plan was, of course, to kill the malformed skeleton. Not a good idea anymore. So let's evade it. I will evade this thing at 3 to 1. It is not a alert enemy, so I can evade it twice if I need to. And 3 to 1 gets me a 0. Okay, so Mark is able to, first action, evade the malformed skeleton. And it will be at the narrow shaft. And because of the rules of the narrow shaft, it says when you would move from the narrow shaft to an unrevealed location. So at this point, the mound of bones is revealed, so I can go ahead and move in there for without any test or anything. So thank you, Lola. And that is Mark's second action, so evade and then move. And then for my third action, so that gets us out of the trouble of the pit below. And then for my third action with Mark, I've got 5 resources. What I really need is some healing. Let's see, we're 3 away. I'll just do a cheeky investigate here. See if I can, since it's only 1 shroud, let's see if maybe I can get a 2 to 1 investigate to pay off. And I got a skull, so that's going to be -3, so that's not successful. And that's it for Mark. All right, enemy phase, nothing happens because the malformed skeleton is evaded. And then we're going to go to reset and upkeep. So the malformed skeleton is going to ready here at the narrow shaft. And he is definitely going to hunt us. So we'll need to be a little careful about that. I think I'll probably just go back in with Mark and have at him, but we'll see what happens. And then we're going to draw a card. So Mark's card draw is Emergency Aid. Man, that's great. That's exactly what I needed. Ability to heal a little bit, to charge up Sophie. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 6. And then Lola will reset. She will go ahead and take her free roll change back to Survivor, which is what I meant to do anyway. So I think that's a little bit out of turn sequence, but I'll try not to forget that. Switch back to Survivor whenever I can, since I don't have any permanent Survivor cards. And then Lola's card off the top of her deck is a newspaper. What was I saying about having no permanent Survivor cards? Yeah, apparently I'm wrong. All right. The newspaper is really good in this scenario because it gives you +2 to your intellect while you have no clues. And since you're consistently spending your clues as you move in this scenario, it's quite good. And Lola will take a resource, putting her at 4. All right, back to the Mythos phase. Doom number 4 out of 6. Oh, by the way, at the end of that last round, we would search the encounter deck and the discard pile for a malformed skeleton, but there is not one. So the only skeleton that's in the deck is right here with us in play. And we're going on to the Mythos phase. Doom 4 of 6. Mark's encounter card is another Grasping Hands. What are the chances? That's 3 of those in a row. Well, at some point, Mark is going to just end up very sorry about all of this. I don't have anything I can commit to that reasonably. Nor does Lola. Okay, let's just see what we get. Oh, the pit below goes off. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and Sophie this. I'm going to take a direct damage, which will flip Sophie. So I'm going to go ahead and take a direct damage, putting me at 5 damage, which flips Sophie. But I do get +2 to my skill value for this test. But then -1 because of the flipped Sophie. So I'm testing this at 4 to 3. See if that helps a little bit. A 0. All right. Cool. So Grasping Hands does not kill me. That's good. And we will be emergency aiding this turn for sure. And then Lola's encounter card. That's the last of the Grasping Hands, by the way, until the deck is reshuffled, is the Shadow Behind You. Okay, this card is really cool. It's a fun theme. It's a pain in the ass, but it's a fun theme. Revelation, put the shadow behind you into play in your threat area, limit 1 per investigator. As an action, you look behind you. At the end of your turn, if you did not perform that above action, you either discard all your resources or discard all the cards in your hand, and then it goes away. So it might behoove me to just spend some cash here and then go down to 0 resources, since I'm only at 4 right now anyway. Yeah, I'll decide what to do with Lola in a minute, but let's take care of Mark first. Mark is going to play Emergency Aid for his first action, for sure. That costs 2 resources, and it heals 2 damage from him. Oh, speaking of which, I did not draw my card off of Sophie, so let me draw that now. And I got a Let Me Handle This. So that's nice. I don't need it right now. And then the Emergency Aid is spent, and I will heal 2 damage off of Mark, putting him back at 3 damage, which returns Sophie back to her fully charged ability. That's Mark's first action. Mark's second action is going to be to move back in with the malformed skeleton. I don't want it hunting me, and engage it. All right, and then so Mark has a skeleton, Lola has a shadow behind you. And then for Mark's third action, we're just going to go ahead and try to kill this skeleton. Let's see if we can one-shot him. I will use the Enchanted Blade, and I will go ahead and charge the blade. Let's see, how do I want to do this? I'm going to be doing 2 damage. Yeah, I'm going to commit a Vicious Blow and a Home Front to this. So we're going to go ahead and go all in on this attack. So almost all in. So I will attack using the Enchanted Blade, and I get +2. So I'm at 5 + 2 is 7, + 5 is 12. I'm at 12 to 4 on this attack. Should be good enough. We'll see. And I get a 0, so 12 to 4 is enough to chop off every one of his limbs in one swell foop. And I will go ahead and empower the blade, and that will allow me to deal an extra damage for the attack. So I'm dealing 2 damage from the Enchanted Blade, +1 from the Vicious Blow, and then I will also get 1 ability to move 1 damage from Mark to the attacked monster, taking Mark down to 2 damage. And that will deal 4 damage to the malformed skeleton and kill it. Go, Mark, go. We call that Mark doing Mark things. And because the Enchanted Blade was empowered and killed an enemy, I get to draw a card and heal a horror. Now, I don't have any horror, but I'll draw the card. And my card draw is Adventurer. Oh, yeah, great. Glad to have it. The Venturer will allow me to go ahead and start cranking out some more grenades. Gives me a little soak if I need it. But that takes care of Mark's turn. All right, Lola. Let's see, I am in Survivor. I would like to go over to Mystic to play a couple cards. Or I just lose cards out of my hand. I'm trying to figure out how to get around this shadow behind you. I think this turn I'm just going to go ahead and just spend the action to look behind me, because it's going to be a little inefficient otherwise. I'm just a little pushed for Lola's hand slots right now. Oh, I forgot to put the catacombs out. So the Mound of Bones has the catacombs above, below, left, and right. You're probably sitting here watching this going, hey, don't forget the catacombs. So I'm going to slide all this stuff up a little bit. Sorry if it's slightly off camera. I'll leave that there. I doubt I will be going that far up. And then we have a catacombs above, to the right, and below. I'm going to have to go up even a little higher. Crunch these together. Yeah, you get the idea. There's one way up there at the top that I'm not going to probably need, but we'll see, maybe. Okay, we're still not into the business part of the catacombs where we might find what we're looking for. But Lola has a lot of flexibility with checking things out around here. Okay, I'm in Survivor. Okay, for right now, what I'm going to do is switch to Seeker. I'll use my once per turn switch. I don't have anything I want to do in Survivor right now. And then in Seeker, I will use my fingerprint kit to investigate. So I will spend my second action on the fingerprint kit to investigate. Now, I know that the Shroud is only 1 here, and I'd be testing this at 3 to 1. But honestly, we're now 3 locations away, so skulls are -3. So I really want to go 4 to 1. So the fingerprint kit lets me go 4 to 1, and that's good enough for me. Chaos Bag says -2. All right, so that's successful. I do get to grab the 2 clues off the Mound of Bones, putting Lola back at 4 clues. And then for my second action, I'm going to go ahead and investigate here, or move. I'm going to move to the east because there are the most possible places that we could have new catacombs in play. So I'm going to move here over to the east, and the catacombs here is stone archways. Well, that's good luck for me here. Ignore the text on unrevealed locations adjacent to the stone archways. When the stone archways is revealed, put the topmost catacombs to the right of it. So it's like a free little passageway. It takes an action to move out, but the next catacombs over, this one here, is free to check out without having to spend clues. And that leaves us with 5 left in the deck, 5 left in the catacombs deck. So now we're into the, starting to be in the business end of the catacombs deck. And then Rita's third action will just be to check behind her because I don't want to lose anything right now. I'm starting to make some nice progress. We'll just check behind us, make sure that we don't get too scared of the dark. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we have dispatched all the enemies, and let's go ahead and reset. Mark's draw is well maintained. Okay, well maintained, for those of you that don't know, is only playable on your turn as a fast card. It's attached to any item that you control. Limit 1 item per asset. After the attached asset is discarded, return it to its owner's hand along with each other upgrade attachment that was attached to it. So it lets you get the card back after it's used up its stuff. So I think I'm going to go ahead and probably put that on the Enchanted Blade since I'll have the Venturer taking care of the grenades. And then I'll take a resource, putting Mark at 5. Lola will draw her encounter card, or her card is a Crisis of Identity. Okay, so I get hit by this, and I get hit a little bit because I kind of knew this was going to happen. I'm going to lose my Seeker cards. So what's going to happen is I have to discard all cards I control of my current roll. So the Hyper Awareness and the Fingerprint Kit both go away. Now I only had 1 charge left on the Fingerprint Kit, but that is a bit of a shame. And then I'm going to flip over, I discard the top card of my deck and switch to that roll. And that is an elusive. So I lose the elusive and I switch to Rogue. All right, that hit me, but I do also have a magnifying glass in hand still to be able to get back to investigating again, and or a newspaper to fill up my hand slot. And then Lola will take a resource, putting her at 5. All right, Mythos phase. Doom number 5 out of 6 on the agenda. We are 1 away with this. So this is the witching hour. So it might be a good turn to get some David Renfield action going. And let's draw a couple encounter cards. Mark Harrigan draws the shadow behind you. Okay, so he's got a shadow behind him as well. That's gonna suck because I could definitely spend down my resources and get that taken care of. Yeah, okay, that's doable. Not as bad as I thought. And then Lola draws a corpse dweller. Okay, so the corpse dweller reads, spawn. Discard a humanoid enemy at any location and spawn corpse dweller at that location. If there are no humanoid enemies in play, and there are not right now, we've killed all the enemies in play, then discard it and it gains surge. So the corpse dweller is not brought into play, and we draw something else, which is a spirit's torment. Okay, this goes onto the stone archways. It's attached to my location, and after I leave the attached location, I either take a horror or lose an action. So that is okay. Not too big of a deal. I haven't been taxed with horror so far in this scenario. And we're going to the investigation phase. Okay, so I think what I want to do here is let's get Mark going. I'm going to spend my first action with Mark to play a venturer. That'll cost me 4 resources, leaving me with 1. I think you see where that's going. So I will play the venturer here, and the venturer has 3 supplies. You can exhaust the venturer and spend a supply to place a supply or an ammo on any asset that you control. So he can top off your weapons, top off your supplies on stuff like flashlights or whatever else have you. So that's pretty great. And then for Mark's second action, I'm gonna move into the Mound of Bones. And for my third action, I'm gonna move and catch up with Lola here. And that's all I'm gonna do, just kind of cover a little ground. At the end of my turn, I need to deal with this shadow behind you. I did not check to see if the shadow was behind me, so I either discard all my resources or discard all my cards in my hand. I have 1 resource remaining, and it is discarded. So I got rid of that for the loss of 1 resource, which is not bad. Now, for those of you wondering about the rule there, you cannot get yourself down to 0 resources and then say, I will pick resources. There has to be a change in the game state, so that means you gotta at least have 1 resource, but that's the cheapest way to get out of that is 1 card or 1 resource. So Mark got out of that real nicely, and that I will also on my turn play a well-maintained on the Enchanted Blade, because I would like to get that going. And that is free and fast. So a well-maintained Enchanted Blade, a Venturer, and a Grenades in play. Sort of exactly what Mark wants to have going on. All right, Lola, I want to keep exploring here with her. So let's go ahead and play a magnifying. Oh wait, hold on. I am in Rogue, so that's not going to work. Let's see. I will switch to Mystic as my switch for the turn. I've already seen one of my weaknesses, so I'm going to take a little risk here. I'm going to play both the Holy Rosary and David Renfield. So the Holy Rosary is going to cost me, let's see, actions-wise, first 2 actions playing cards. Renfield costs me 2, and the Holy Rosary costs me 2. And that is going to, David Renfield, well, because this is the Witching Hour, there's no reason not to go ahead and use him. I'll put a Doom on him, and I will gain a resource, putting me back at 2. And then for my third action, let's see, this puts me up to 5 willpower, so that's pretty nice. Let's go ahead and move. It does not cost me anything to move in. So I will move into the catacombs, and that will, I either have to take a horror or lose an action. I cannot lose an action as I'm out of actions, so I will take the horror and I will put it on the Holy Rosary. And the new catacombs that I moved into, which I don't have to spend, right? Ignore the text on unrevealed locations. So I do not have to spend for this catacombs, and it is a secret passage. All right, this is new from the Return to, and I think I've never seen it before. 5 shroud, 2 clues. As an action, if you control the clasp of black onyx, which I do own but don't control right now, you place the clasp within the skull's eye socket, and the passage opens. Reveal the catacomb's location to the right of the secret passage. Oh, very neat. Okay, forced. When the secret passage is revealed, put the topmost catacombs to the right. Okay, so we're just going to continue our passage to the right. So I could get out of the 2 clues here by having the clasp of black onyx, but I don't right now. And that is 5 shroud and 2 clues there, but it is not a victory point location. So I don't think I'm going to bother messing around with that. And that was Lola's third action to move into there. She also did not look behind her. So the question is, do I want to lose 2 resources or the 3 cards in hand? I will lose the 2 resources. All right, so Lola's back down to 0 resources, and the shadow behind you has been dealt with. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, nothing happens because there are no enemies in play, and then we reset. So Mark resets, and his card draw is a copy of Steadfast. It's my second copy of Steadfast. I have my hand reminder here. I have 2 Steadfast, a 32 Colt, a smoking pipe, a vicious blow, and a let me handle this. And Mark will take a resource, putting him at 1. Lola will reset, and we're going to hope not to draw her weakness, because that would hurt right now. And she draws a newspaper. Now, interestingly, this is actually the level 2 newspaper. I've only been able to afford to level up one of them, but this gives me +2 to investigate while I have no clues. And when you would discover a clue at your location, if you have no clues, discover an additional clue. So this lets her take her intellect up to 5 and discover 2 clues on a go. So I like that a lot, and in fact, I will probably play it. Reminder of Lola's hand is 2 newspapers, a magnifying glass, and a take heart. And I will take a resource, putting me at 1. All right, Mythos phase, Doom on the agenda, number 6 out of 6, and we are advancing the agenda. We go to agenda 2B, which is the Spectre of Death. When you flip over the agenda card, it becomes a monster, very scary. It is the Spectre of Death. This guy's a big fella. He's a boss. Monster Geist Elite. He spawns at the starting location, which in this case is the gate to hell right up here. And he is going to be chasing us. Hunter and Retaliate. 3 fight, 3 evade, 10 health. When he is exhausted, he takes 1 less damage from each attack made against him. After you fail a skill test while attempting to evade him, it attacks you. Now that actually has a keyword now. His special ability can just be called Alert now. So at this point, when this game was when this scenario was released, the keyword Alert did not exist, but now it does. Perhaps inspired by the Spectre of Death. He is a Victory 2 enemy. Would be very nice to kill if I can manage to get around to doing that, but we'll see. I realized that I have never spoken in our video today about what we are even trying to do. So for those of you who have not played the Pallid Mask before, we are trying to find the man in the Pallid Mask. He is somewhere in the catacombs, and we are trying to discover where he is. That is the purpose of Act 1A. The goal is to find him and then deal with him before time runs out, which now we are on Agenda 2A, which has a 12 Doom threshold. And that's it. That's how much time we have. 12 more turns. Now, the good news is, with a 12 doom threshold agenda as the final agenda, we can definitely go a little bananas with David Renfield. Speaking of which, David Renfield's doom goes away. And as long as we are playing it safe as far as not hitting that 12th point, we do not have Ancient Evils in the deck, so we can really milk David Renfield for a decent amount of money if necessary. Right now we don't have anything to spend it on, but we'll see how that goes. And we are now going to draw a couple encounter cards. So Mark's encounter card is Eyes in the Walls. All right, test Willpower 3. For each point you fail by, take a horror. When assigning horror, it must be divided as evenly as possible among all eligible cards. So that would mean that the Venturer would have to get at least some portion of it. I don't feel like taking any horror right now, and I have an easy way to try and avoid this, so I'm going to commit a Steadfast to this. Steadfast is going to gain 2 willpower icons because I currently have, let's see, 14, 12. I have 12 health and sanity remaining. And so that means it is a 3 plus 3 to the test. So I'm at 6 to 3 on Eyes in the Walls. I drew a Cultist, which is a -2. So that is successful. Eyes in the Walls does not hit me for anything. Thank you, Steadfast. And then Lola's card. Also, I apologize, as I've been editing the video, I realized that I keep calling Lola Rita for some reason. I mean, I know what the reason is, because in my audio podcast, I'm running a Finn and Rita campaign, and so I've just got Rita's name on my mind right now. But it's Lola, not Rita, not Chiquita, but Lola. She was a showgirl. And then we're going for Lola's encounter card, which is the Pit Below. Boy, as though we haven't seen this card enough times. All right, it's going to attach to the Secret Passage, which now has a Shroud of 6, but we don't need its clues right now, so I can go ahead and move on. Lola still has 2 remaining clues. And then Mark will just have to make sure he zips through that passageway and doesn't linger. But no enemies other than the one that's chasing us. So let's go ahead and get moving here. Let's see how I want to do this. Mark, I think, is just going to go ahead and scout ahead because I don't have anything in particular else to do with Mark. He's not in any shape to be investigating things or anything like that. Ooh. You know what I could do? I was thinking about maybe drawing the Pit Below for Mark. But that doesn't matter. We'll both be able to move on. So I'm not going to do that. I have a Let Me Handle This, which could take the Pit Below from Lola, but it doesn't matter. So Mark's going to go first, and I'm going to spend his first action to move into the Secret Passage. That triggers Spirit's Torment, and I will take a horror for that and put that on myself. I'm not putting that on the Venturer because of that card that we just saw that can potentially make me put a horror on the Venturer. And then I will move again, spending 2 clues off of Lola, meaning we are now out of clues as a team, to move into this far right catacombs. And it is the Research Site. Okay, this is also a new one from the Return To. It says, as a response, after you successfully investigate Research Site, reveal any catacombs location. Okay, so you can use the Research Site. It's a 6 shroud. And it says, when the Research Site is revealed, put the topmost catacombs in the catacombs deck into play above, below, or to the right of any other location. Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting because of the stone archways. Okay, so this Research Site goes here. I think I might end up turning that into a bit of a dead end because I'm going to put this catacombs above the stone archways, which will allow me to go to that without a clue because I don't have any clues. And I don't want to try to get the 2 here on the Pit Below. So that was Mark moving into the Research Site for 2 clues. I have no way of successfully investigating this. So I'm going to spend 2 more actions to move back to the stone archways. Unfortunately, I thought I was going to be able to get away from the stone archways and not have to go back. But here we are. And that's his 3 actions. So move in and then move back twice. I don't want to get stuck in the pit. Okay, Lola. Couple things I might want to do here. I am still sitting in Mystic. And I would like to get out of Mystic. But first, I will use David Renfield and put a Doom on him to get a resource, putting me at 2 resources. Let's slide out of Mystic into Survivor. Let's wait on that. I'm going to stay in Mystic for right now. And then let's see what we end up with. I'm going to move into the stone archways, and then I can ignore the text on unrevealed locations adjacent to it, so I will move into this catacombs up here. We, by the way, only have 3 left in the deck, so we could be hitting our target location here pretty soon. Should be. Now, when Lola leaves the Spirit's Torment, she will have to take a horror, so I will go ahead and take that on myself, putting me at 1 out of 6 horror. And let's see what we get. This catacombs is the Shivering Pools. Okay, this is not what I was hoping to get. It says 5 shroud, 2 clues. After you end your turn at the Shivering Pools, you must either take a direct damage or lose 5 resources. Yummy. Forced, when the Shivering Pools is revealed, put the topmost catacombs in the catacombs deck into play below or to the right. So I want to go to the right. All right, so let's see. That was 1, 2 moves, and that is 5 shroud with 2 clues. Okay, well, this is definitely going to be a job for my other kit of stuff. Yeah, okay. Let's see, 5. All right, I will go ahead and move into Survivor for my switch to for the turn. And let's go ahead and play a newspaper for 1 action. And I'll play the level 2 newspaper. That takes up a hand slot, which I am now down to no hand slots available. And that is the one that gives me +2 to my intellect when I have no clues, which I right now have no clues. So I'm at 5 intellect. And hopefully I can grab both of the clues there off the Shivering Pools without too much trouble. But that is Lola's, let's see, first action move, second action move, third action, play a newspaper, and that's it. We are done. Enemy phase, the Spectre of Death is going to hunt us down to the Well of Souls. And then we are going to reset. Mark resets and draws his card, which is Lost Soul. Now, Lost Soul is one of the weaknesses that you get during the course of play in this campaign. We had it in our last scenario. It says, check the campaign log. If you have more or equal doubt than conviction, test intellect X, where X is your willpower. If you fail, take 2 damage. If you have more conviction than doubt, do the opposite. Test willpower where X is your intellect. I currently have more conviction than doubt, so that means that Mark is going to be testing willpower X, so willpower 2, and taking 2 damage if he fails. Let's see, willpower 2, that would be 3 to 2. I will commit the smoking pipe and go 4 to 2. Chaos Bag says 0. That is successful. I do not take any damage from that. Smoking Pipe is gone. Lost Soul is gone. Mark takes a resource, putting him at 2. Lola resets and draws. Let's see, David Renfield will ready. And Lola draws, also Lost Soul. What are the chances that we would both draw them on the same turn? So she has to test her willpower, which is 5, against her intellect, which is +2 from newspaper only while investigating. Okay, so 5 to 3. I will just take this test. Will not commit anything. And I get a skull. So that's going to be a fail, I'm sure. I am 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locations away from the front. Yes, so that's -5. So I fail that and I take 2 damage. Okay, that's fine. I'll put 1 of the damage on David Renfield and I will put 1 on myself. That is my first damage with Lola. I'm 1 out of 6. All right, couple weaknesses out of the way, and then I will take a resource with Lola, putting her at 2. And those 2 cards, believe it or not, were not the Mythos phase. That was me drawing cards at the end of the round. So now we're on to the Mythos phase. Doom number 1 plus Renfield is 2 of 12. Mark's encounter card is Obscuring Fog. Okay, well, that is just fine. There's no reason that we need to worry about the stone arches being obscured. So we'll go ahead and attach that to my location. That puts its shroud up to 4, which literally doesn't matter. That pit below is gone. And that's good. That's a nice, easy one. And then Lola's encounter card is a Catacombs Docent. Okay. The Catacombs Docent spawns at the nearest unrevealed location, which for Lola would be right up here next to her. We know that that is not a target location. Oh, speaking of which, I never did put the target location in. To the right, comes up right here. All right, there's 2 left in the deck. And the Catacombs Docent is going to spawn right here. And he has a parlay test of Intellect 4 to interpret his ravings. And if you succeed, you can look at the unrevealed side of any location in play. He is otherwise going to just sort of hang out here at the unrevealed location. Keeping in mind that these Catacombs Docents, if you don't deal with them, can turn into those big, horrible monstrosities that chase you. So we do have to be a little bit cautious about that. But as for right now, what I want to do is try to get some clues to keep researching. So I'm going to go first with Lola. I'm sitting in Survivor right now, and I need to be in Survivor to trigger the response on the newspaper. So I'm going to try. I would like Mark to be able to assist her, but he doesn't have any icons that match. This is risky, but I'm going to draw a card with Lola. I've not changed her situation yet here. So let's go ahead and draw a card with Lola. And I draw another Enchanted Blade. Okay, that does not help. Looking for intellect icons. And I'm just gonna, okay, let's go ahead and try it. I'm gonna do it. My second action will be an investigate. And I will investigate this at 5 to 5. And I'm going to commit to, let's see, what can I commit? I can only commit a newspaper because I am in Survivor. So I can make this a 6 to 5 investigate. And then I will also commit a take heart to this. So I'll commit a newspaper and a take heart. We'll just go ahead and set those where y'all can see them. To try to be able to hedge my bets on this, and if I can get this, if I can succeed at this 6 to 5, I'll be able to get 2 clues here, which will be great. Oh, and I think I forgot to do something. Yes, I ended my turn at the Shivering Pools, so I need to take a damage. That is a direct damage. Yes, a direct damage, so Lola's now at 2 damage. And let's check this, 6 to 5. Come on now. And I got a skull. Okay, the skull is a big fail, so I did not get what I was looking for there. So the take heart is going to fire, and I'm going to gain 2 resources, putting me at 4, and draw 2 cards, which could be terrific or could be just devastating. Let's go ahead and draw 2 cards, and I draw a fingerprint kit. Well now, and an act of desperation. All right. Well, the fingerprint kit would be a really nice thing to have. Yeah, okay, that's good. Let's go ahead and play the fingerprint kit. I'm going to switch into Seeker. I'll pass my David Renfield money this round. And I will switch into Seeker and grab fingerprint kit. So I'm going to overwrite my Enchanted Blade. Hate to just toss that, but Mark's got plenty of firepower following behind me. And I'll throw that fingerprint kit into play for 4 resources, which is all of her resources. And that comes into play with 3 supplies. And that is the end of Lola's turn. All right, Mark, we can't explore anything else until we get some clues. So Mark needs to try and just keep us safe here. I'm gonna send Mark up to deal with that catacombs docent. So I will move Mark up into the shimmering pools. When I leave, the Spirit's Torment fires, and I can either take a horror or lose an action. For Mark, I do not want to take the horror. I'll just lose the action. So that takes me down to only 1 action remaining. And I don't want to move in with the catacombs docent yet, because then he'll just hit me. Since I have no actions left, I'll spend my 3rd action to draw a card. And I get a reliable. Okay. Reliable is fast. And also, so it allows me to attach to an item I control, and I get +1 to my skills when I'm resolving a triggered ability on that asset. So that can let me do a little more fun shenanigans with the grenades or the Enchanted Blade. Let's go ahead and put that on the Enchanted Blade for right now. No, let's put it on the grenades, because the Enchanted Blade doesn't necessarily go away unless I make it. So let's put it on the grenades. That cost me a resource, but it is fast. And that is it for the investigation phase. Enemy phase, the Catacombs Docent does not hunt, but the Spectre of Death does. So I'll have to be careful. He's closing on me a little bit here. And that is it for the enemy phase. We reset. Mark draws a True Grit. Okay, way to take a little bit more damage. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 2. Lola will reset. And she is in Seeker, so I do risk losing my fingerprint kit if this gets screwed up. And she draws a Prepared for the Worst. Okay, let me be able to go get a weapon. But even more importantly, it has an intellect icon. So though it is a Guardian card, so I'm unlikely to be able to commit that. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 1. Also, at the end of that round, I'm in the Shimmering Pools, but with both Mark and Lola. So both of us have to either take a direct damage or lose 5 resources. So Mark will take the direct damage for sure, putting him at 3, and we'll draw a card off of that, which is Hallowed Mirror. Okay, very nice. That will allow me to start doing some healing on myself if I need to. And Lola's direct damage puts her at 3. So I need to get moving here. Lola's now at 3 out of 6 damage. For sure. All right. Mythos phase. Doom number 3 out of 12. And Mark's encounter card is a Corpse Dweller. All right, well, here we go. So the Corpse Dweller spawns at, is going to discard a humanoid enemy. That's going to get rid of this Catacombs Docent and spawn the Corpse Dweller right there next to me. Let's see, yep. He is Hunter and Retaliate, 3 fight, 4 evade, 5 health. Big fella. The Catacombs Docent is gone. And then Lola gets an Obscuring Fog. Ooh, that's terrible. Oh man, that's terrible. Okay, so we're gonna have to come up with another plan here, because I think that these 2 clues here just became very difficult. 7 Shroud now to get those. And I can't do anything about that. Yep, no, I can't. So the obscuring fog is on this shimmering pools. That's just not gettable at this point. Ugh, that Spirit's Torment is going to kick my butt at some point here. Let's send Lola down. I'm going to go first with Lola. I'm currently in Seeker, which is where I'd like to be. So I'm going to move down to the stone archways again and back over to the secret passage. That's 2 actions. I will take the horror for leaving the Spirit's Torment location again, and that puts me at 2 horror out of 6. And then I will spend my 3rd action to investigate the secret passage. So, using the fingerprint kit here, as I am in Seeker, that is going to put me at 6 to 5. I am in Seeker, so I will also commit the magnifying glass to go 7 to 5. And that's about as good as I can make it. So 7 to 5. Let's hope for the best here. I need that clasp of black onyx. And 7 to 5 gets me, hey, a -1. Hooray! So that was a bit of a panic, but I got it. So that's 2 clues grabbed by Lola at the secret passage, which is not where I wanted to get those clues, but beggars will not be choosers here. So let's see, I'm still in Seeker. I have not changed roles yet. Do I want to change roles to go into Mystic to use Renfield? Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to go into Mystic and I'm going to use Renfield. I will put another Doom on him for 2 and take 2 resources. And I'll live in Mystic at the end of the round. All right, Mark. As tempted as I am to go into that, where that corpse dweller is and start whipping up on that guy, I don't think that's what I want to do. Well, or is it? I might, actually. Because Lola's going to go north up here to the catacombs next round. Mark shouldn't circle around because that's just too dangerous for him. Yeah, fine. Let's go scrap it up a little bit with this corpse dweller. So Mark will waltz in. I can't waltz in. That is not legal. I can't just go into there because it is unrevealed. That's a problem. I certainly don't want to wait around for him. I can move down to the stone archways. Yeah, let's do that. Let's just do that. Mark will move down to the stone archways. We're running back and forth like a Scooby-Doo movie here. All right, and then I will move in with Lola, and I will just take the loss of an action coming from the Spirit's Torment. Boy, I had no idea that Spirit's Torment was going to kick my butt so much. All right, and that was 3 actions to move 2 spaces. But that's a much safer place to be than in the shimmering pools. And that is the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase. The corpse dweller and the specter of death are going to chase us. And because I would like them to be together for the purpose of grenading, let's move them both down into the mound of bones, because that is closer to us for both of them. All right, they're both there chasing us. And we are done with the enemy phase. Let's reset. Mark draws another Let Me Handle This. He now has 7 cards in hand, and I take a 3rd resource. And then Lola is going to reset Fingerprint Kit and David Renfield, and she will draw a crystalline elder sign. Now we're talking here. Now, do I have anything? A Holy Rosary, but that's easily switch outable. Oh yeah, definitely going to be playing that, and that'll be her 4th resource in this phase. Okay. So now we just need to survive another Mythos phase here. So Mythos phase, doom number 5 out of 12. And encounter cards. Mark draws another Spirit's Torment. Okay, well, I can't do anything about that. Garbage, just garbage. All right, and that's gonna go here. So we're gonna have to pay to get out of this secret passage. And then Lola draws another Catacombs Docent. Okay, and that is gonna go in the nearest unrevealed location, which is where we're headed. Up there, so that's fine. Give Mark something to do. And that is the end of the Mythos phase. Okay, investigation phase. Let's get this started. Mark will go ahead and head up in there. So Mark's first action will be to head into that location, spending Lola's 2 clues to do so. And this catacombs is the Tomb of Shadows. Aha, this is where we're headed. Okay, when the Tomb of Shadows is revealed, advance to Act 1B. All right, so this is going to have 4 clues. It's 4 shroud and 4 clues. And it says, while the man in the Pallid Mask is at the Tomb of Shadows, he gets 2 extra health and cannot be defeated by his investigation ability. So we are going to be dealing with the man in the Pallid Mask right there. Mark is now engaged with that Catacombs Docent. And we advance to Act 1B at long last. The Stranger's Shadow. Rows of skulls chatter their teeth endlessly as you pass through a narrow stone archway into a round chamber illuminated by firelight. In the center of the tomb stands the stranger, peering into the blaze. Across the wall, shadows dance and twist with the flickering of the flame. The stranger turns to face you, and his own shadow spreads across the wall. Where his shadow's arm should be, tentacle shapes emerge, enveloping the walls in darkness. He lifts his hands toward the wall, as if trying to show you something. Spawn the set-aside man in the Pallid Mask weakness in the Tomb of Shadows. So let's go ahead and put him in there. As a reminder, the man of the Pallid Mask is a 3 health, 4 fight, 4 evade enemy who is aloof. And he loses his investigate ability right now. So he's going to be aloof at this location. Check the campaign log. If Ishimaru Haruko is not listed under VIP slain, and she is not, search the collection for her and spawn her at the starting location. So I've just done, here is Ishimaru, I was ready with her, and she spawns at the Gate of Hell. She's a bad Mamma Jamma. You don't want to deal with her if you can avoid it. She's following us, but she's quite a ways behind. And that moves us on to Act 2A. The path is barred. The shadows cast along the bone walls shift into shapes of several figures, acting out a macabre parody of the King in Yellow. Objective: tell us how to stop the path from opening. If the man in the Pallid Mask is defeated, advance. Or objective: what is he trying to show us? Investigators in the Tomb of Shadows may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance. So we can either spend 4 clues here in the Tomb of Shadows, or we can just try to take out the man in the Pallid Mask and be done with him that way. He has 5 health. So the ramifications of this are a lot about how you want to end the scenario. If you choose to kill the man in the Pallid Mask, it means running back to the entrance to get out. And that will likely mean getting past Ishimaru, which is not going to be a forte of ours. If you manage to collect the clues, you can get past the man in the Pallid Mask by finding the hidden passage, or the blocked passage. However, we're in a bit of a pickle there because we're out of clues, and we would have to spend the 4 that are here in order to advance. And we don't know where the blocked passage is yet. I am really seriously thinking here the right thing to do is going to be to kill them both. Even though it means going backwards, I think that it's going to start to get tricky here with that. We don't have any available clues here to be able to start to find the block passage, which is one of these last two locations. And we hit a dead end with the research site here, and we have a dead end here with the Tomb of Shadows. The Shimmering Pools is our only place that we might be able to get a couple clues, and right now that's 7 Shroud, and we don't have any special tricks to be able to get that. If I'd got another Drawn to the Flame or something, yeah, maybe. But this Catacombs here is not guaranteed to place something to the above it. So I'm thinking we need to kill the man in the Pallid Mask and try to get out of here. So that's what I'm going to do. So Mark moved out, so he has to deal with Spirit's Torment, and I will take the horror. I'll put it on the Venturer. And I'm going to go ahead for the first time and use the Venturer and drop a ammo on the grenades. Supply on the grenades. And then I'm going to spend my first action, or my second action, to attack the Catacombs Docent with some grenades. So I will fire off a set of grenades at the Catacombs Docent. This is going to be a +3 because of reliable. So I'm at 8-3 on this. And I will deal 2 damage to each enemy at my location, which will include the man in the Pallid Mask. So that's going to be 8-3. Let's see how we do. A 0. All right, good. So that's successful. The Catacombs Docent has been blown to smithereens. And the man in the Pallid Mask takes 2 splash damage from the grenades. Though he is still aloof. I have not engaged him. All right, and then Mark's, the man in the Pallid Mask has 5 total health. So then Mark's third action, I don't want to fight him. Because I would have to engage him in order to fight him. I want to do that next turn. So I will spend my third action and I will play the Hallowed Mirror. So the Hallowed Mirror comes into play. It costs 2, leaving me with 1 resource. And then I go ahead and grab 3 copies of Soothing Melody, which is a spell card, and allows me to do some healing. And one of them goes into my hand and the other 2 get shuffled into my deck. I did not have anything else in my accessory slot, so that just sits nicely there. And Mark is out of actions. Okay, so Lola, who was going to come in and start grabbing some clues over there, I'm thinking that that is not the right thing to do, although I could get some a victory point out of that. But no, I have a better idea. I am going to move up with Lola into the from the secret passage into the Tomb of Shadows. That is going to for Spirit's Torment, I will go ahead and take the horror. And I'll take it on the Holy Rosary, because I'm going to plan on putting the Crystalline Elder Sign in that spot anyway. So the Holy Rosary takes that horror for me. For my second action with Lola, I am going to pull the man in the Pallid Mask. I know, you're thinking I'm crazy, but I'm going to engage the man in the Pallid Mask with Lola. I'm going to fast switch my role into Survivor. I have not actually switched roles yet this round. Into Survivor. Let's see, I was in Mystic. Let's use David Renfield before I do that. So Renfield first. I will put another Doom on him, putting him at 3 Doom and 3 Doom, and I'll take 3 resources, which puts me at 7. Then I will switch to Survivor. And then for my third action in Survivor, I'm going to play Act of Desperation. And this says, as an additional cost to play Act of Desperation, choose and discard an item asset that takes up at least 1 hand slot. from your play area or your hand. And I have an enchanted blade here in my hand. So I'm going to go ahead and throw the enchanted blade at the man in the Pallid Mask. I'm going to get plus X for this test, which is the printed resource cost. So this is a +3 test. So that's going to be 6 to 4. I will also commit to this a vicious blow from Mark. So that is going to be 7 to 4. And if I'm successful, that'll deal the final 3 damage to the man in the Pallid Mask. So there we go. 7 to 4. Hope for the best. I know Matastrophic is really happy about this right now because he loves when an act of desperation throws crazy things. And 7 to 4 gets me, yes, a 0. All right. So the enchanted blade goes flipping through the air and slices the head off the man in the Pallid Mask for a total of 3 damage. And Act of Desperation goes away. I don't get anything back. You get 3 resources if the card had been in play. But it wasn't. But the man in the Pallid Mask has been defeated. So let's see what happens. Act 2B. The stranger drops to one knee, visibly wounded. Your knuckles whiten with anger and you shout, "We know about Carcosa and H man, whose name I won't say. Now tell us how to stop the madness." The stranger digs his fingers into the cold stone floor, and the catacombs shake. Mark 2 conviction in your campaign log. Okay, so that'll put us up to 6 conviction and 3 doubt. Remove the man in the Pallid Mask from the game and advance to Act 3A, the way out. All right, advance to Act 3A. Man in the Pallid Mask is removed from the game. And Act 3A, the way out, reads, bones rattle to the floor, dislodged by the shaking and crumbling of the caverns around you. The stranger grabs a skull from within the flames in the center of the chamber and flees. Forced at the end of the round, if the gates to hell is in play, and it is, discard the location that is farthest from the gate to hell. Move each investigator and enemy that was at that location to a connecting location and deal 2 damage to each of them. Objective, if each undefeated investigator is at the gate to hell, advance. All right, so we need to get back to the gate to hell to get out of here. And we're looking for the location that's the farthest from the gate to hell. So right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So right now the research site is the farthest, as is where we are right now in the Tomb of Shadows. So we just kind of need to get moving here. Doable though. Doable. Tricky. And that was the end of the investigation phase. So enemy phase, we have the 2 hunters that are after us. So how do I want to handle this? Let's see. If I send them to the stone archways, that's going to sort of be the locations are connected to each other, right? Yeah. So if I send them to the stone archways, that's kind of like a choke point for our team because I have not discovered this catacombs yet. Or if I send them up to the catacombs, I could potentially sneak around them. Well, quote, sneak around them. But I think that maybe I want Mark dealing with these guys. Between the 2 of them, they deal 4 damage and 3 horror on a hunt in. And then we have good old Ishimaru following right behind. Well, Ishimaru is going to hunt here to the Well of Souls. That's definitely going to happen. And then let's go ahead. I feel like let's send them up here. I'm going to send them up to the unexplored location to the north. And just try to suck it up and go. Let's see what happens. Okay, and that is the end of the enemy phase. Let's reset. Mark's card is another copy of Well Maintained. So that has an agility icon, which I'm going to definitely need to be collecting here. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 2. Lola is going to reset. Let's reset Renfield. And I'm going to draw. Look what I found. Now, where was that? That's interesting, because with Look What I Found, I have a good chance of being able to grab a couple clues and potentially trailblaze a path straight across. The chances of this putting something on the west side of it, though, are pretty slim. I could also maybe potentially grab a victory point, hang around here and grab a victory point. If I let those guys hunt me one more space, I've got a much better chance of getting away from them, which is certainly my plan. Okay, yeah, so Lola will take the Look What I Found and take a resource, and that puts her at 8 resources. And then let's head off to the Mythos phase. We'll reset here. Doom number 7 of 12, really 4 of 12 as soon as David Renfield's dead. And my encounter card with Mark, Venturer is back here, is another Corpse Dweller. Okay, now that's interesting because I don't think he has anything to dwell in. No, there are no more humanoid enemies on the map. So that Corpse Dweller just as discarded and gains Surge, which is going to be another Catacombs docent. Okay, well that certainly had gone the other way. That would have been trouble. That Catacombs docent shows up in the spot where all the other monsters are. Right here. All right, and then Lola's encounter card is The Shadow Behind You. Very interesting. Okay, this would be better in Mark's possession right now. Yeah, significantly better in Mark's possession. Mark is going to go ahead and play Let Me Handle This. And that is a non-peril encounter card, and he will go ahead and take the Shadow behind him because he has a couple resources that he doesn't mind if he loses. So I'll go ahead and discard Let Me Handle This. There's a shadow behind me. Here, let me take it. It's behind me now. Go. And I think we're probably not going to go anywhere with either one of my investigators this turn. That's not true. Yeah, that is not true. Here is what we are going to do. Lola's going to go first. And I am sitting in Survivor right now. And while I'm in Survivor, let's go ahead and investigate using the newspaper reaction if I need to. So I'm going to spend my first action to investigate, and that is going to be a 5 to 4. And I'm going to commit the Look What I Found. So that's going to put me at 7 to 4. I get a -3. Right, perfect, great. So 7 to 4 is going to allow me to use the newspaper to discover 2 clues here at this location. Okay, that turns off my newspaper right now. And then I'm going to swap into Mystic for my second action and play the Crystalline Elder Sign for 3. So that will cost me 3. I'm down to 5 resources. Not for long, though. And the Crystalline Elder Sign, I will seal the +1 to give me a boost to 4 in all of my stats. Excellent. And then That nice thing about this crystalline elder sign with Lola is she doesn't have to be in any particular role in order to be able to take advantage of that. And then for my third action, let's see, I'm still in Mystic, so let's go ahead and do Renfield again. I will put another Doom on him and grab a fourth resource. I don't really know what I'm going to do with all these resources, but I'm hoping maybe another one of those hyper awarenesses shows up. And then for my third action with Lola, I will just go ahead and investigate, no harm done if I fail. And this will just be 4 to 4. Not committing anything. And I cannot use the fingerprint kit because I'm not in Seeker. And 4 to 4 gets me a -1, so that's a fail. Figured. And that's going to be the end of Lola's turn. All right, Mark. I'm going to strike out with Mark here. First thing I'm going to do with Mark is I'm going to play Soothing Melody. And I'm going to go ahead and heal 2 damage off of Mark. And draw a card. And the card that I draw is Shortcut. Well, not too sorry to see that. Okay, that's my first action to be able to heal with Soothing Melody. For my second action, I will slide down into this secret passage here. And for my third action, I will slide into the stone archways. And I will just take a horror, and because I can't lose another action. So I'll just take a horror. I will go ahead and use the Venturer to drop another grenade onto my grenades. And we'll just stop right there in the stone archways. It's a pretty safe place to be right now. And that is the investigation phase. The shadow behind me is going to hit me because I did not check for the shadow, and I will lose the 2 resources that I have to get rid of it. And then in the enemy phase, the 3 hunter enemies are going to move. Ishimaru is going to move into the narrow shaft. And then the Corpse Dweller and the Spectre of Death, they're both 2 away from each of us. So I'm going to move them into the Shimmering Pools. Have them hunt that direction. And then hopefully I can scoot out the back. And that is the end of the enemy phase. We reset with Mark. And he draws a Dynamite Blast. Well, too bad I don't have any money. That might be fun. Might be a good way to kill Ishimaru, honestly. But unfortunately, I have not the cash for that. So I'll take a resource. And then Lola will reset. I'm sitting in Mystic, and I would really like to not draw my weakness right now. And I draw another Active Desperation. Okay. Has 2 fight icons on it also. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 10 resources. And it's going to be about time for Renfield to die here. But he can die on any of those spirit torments. That's all I got to do is walk through a location. Which, by the way, is the plan. Lola is just trying to grab some victory points if she can. All right, Doom on the agenda. 5 out of 12, plus the 4 on Renfield is 9 out of 12. Encounter card for Mark. Crypt Chill. Okay, not the worst for him. Test willpower 4. If you fail, choose and discard an asset you control. Okay, yeah, I'll just try to test out of this. I will commit a Dynamite Blast. I don't really want to lose anything right now, so I'll do a Dynamite Blast, And I will also do a True Grit. That takes me up to 5 willpower to 4. And I will do a Sophie as well to get +2 to this. So I will take a direct damage, draw a card off the direct damage, which is Emergency Aid. Okay, great. Also has an agility icon. And then I'm testing this at 7 to 4. And I got a skull. So a skull is going to be, I am 1, 2, 3, I am 4 distance away from the starting location. So that is a -4, so I still failed it. Boo. Let me make sure that's true. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, I failed it by 1. Okay, so that means I have to discard an asset that I control. I will discard the Venturer. He's only got 1 left and he has 1 horror left. So I will discard the Venturer. And Crypt Chill has done its thing. And then Lola's encounter card. Eyes in the Walls. All right, test willpower 3. My willpower is currently 5. 3 plus the Crystalline Elder Sign plus Renfield is 5, yes. 5 to 3, and then I take horror if I fail. I'll just do it. 5 to 3. And I get a Cultist, which is -2, and it was not revealed during an attack. So that's successful. I did not take any horror from Eyes in the Walls. Great. Okay, now we're on to the investigation phase. So really what Mark wants to do is get over to Ishimaru and evade her. That's what I want to do. Because I don't have any way to get past her just now this turn, but I want to get that direction. Lola still has, I believe, another elusive in her deck, but the chances of drawing it are fairly slim. So I want to get moving here. Let's go first with Mark. So Mark is going to spend an action to move from the stone archways into the Mound of Bones. And that is going to take a Spirit's Torment, so I will have to take another horror, which I will take, putting me at 3 out of 5. Dangerous, for sure. Then I will move again and engage with Ishimaru. If I can pick her up. All right, Ishimaru has 6 fight, 3 evade, and 4 health. And then after you deal damage to her by any effect other than an attack, you draw the top card of the encounter deck. So I'm just going to evade her. So I'm going to try to sneak by her here. So Mark has 3 evade. She has 3 evade. I'm going to commit a well-maintained and an emergency aid to give myself a +2 to this. And I will also use Sophie to give myself a +2. So that's going to be a +4, so I'll be at 7 to 3. Sophie deals me a damage, which puts me at 3 damage. I will draw a card off of that, which is another Enchanted Blade. Okay, it's nice. And let's try 7 to 4. Or sorry, 7 to 3. I'm only 2 spaces away from the start, so that's pretty good odds. And I get a Cultist, which is during an attack. That's only all that matters. So that is a successful evade of Ishimaru. Those committed cards are discarded, and Ishimaru is evaded here in the narrow shaft. And let me make sure I'm not missing any effects as I move by. Nope. Okay, and then I will go ahead and for my 3rd action I had evaded, and then I'm going to play Shortcut and shortcut out of here over to the Well of Souls. So I managed to sneak by Ishimaru. Now, when I end my turn at the Well of Souls, I need to discard, either take a direct horror, which I'm not willing to do, or discard 2 random cards from my hand. So I'm going to discard 2 random cards from my hand, which is going to be these 2. Enchanted Blade and Let Me Handle This. All right. Which leaves me a hand of the 32 Colt and a Steadfast. I just realized if I had used the, if I instead of losing the Venturer, I could have lost the Enchanted Blade and gotten it back from Well Maintained. So, but that's fine. Leave it in play. I didn't have the money to replay it, so. That's a pretty successful round, go there for Mark. Now the question is, what do I want to do with Lola? I think I want to just run for it. I'm tempted to try to get the VPs there at the Tomb of Shadows, but that puts me in a bit of a precarious spot. Let's see, that would be a 5 to 4 on the Investigate to get 2 clues. I would not be able to commit anything. 5 to 4 is pretty small odds at success, but for a victory point, maybe worth it. And I'm just looking for trouble there. Yeah, I'm gonna forego that victory point. 5 to 4 for the tempo the tempo hit that I would have is pretty bad. Oh, what the hell, let's go for it. I'm going to use Renfield one more time here, put a 5th Doom on him, and take 5 resources. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You don't often see 5 Doom on David Renfield. I'm still in Mystic, so I can do that. Then I will go ahead and take my swap over to Seeker, and I will investigate using the fingerprint kit at 5 to 4. Let's see what happens. Chaos Bag, be friendly to me, be friendly to me. The Chaos Bag says, a -1. Look at that beautiful thing, -1. All right. Paid off. Maybe. I still got to get out alive. So the fingerprint kit is spent, and I get the 2 clues on the Tomb of Shadows, which gives me 4 clues. Not that that matters, but it does get me the victory point. Okay. Then for my next action, I will move down to the secret passage. And I definitely do not want to move again. So I will stop right there. And I will spend my 3rd action. Let's see, I am in Seeker. I will draw a card for my 3rd action. I got something worth fighting for. It's a way to soak up some horror. Now what I'm really hoping to do is grab an elusive, because that would solve a lot of problems. But not right now. Okay, enemy phase. The Ishimaru is exhausted, so she doesn't do anything. The Corpse Dweller and the Spectre of Death are going to try to get to Rita, or to Lola. Let's see. They don't have any specific prey instructions. So they could go either way to get to her, so I'll take them up to the Tomb of Shadows. Sneaky little move there. And that gives Lola a somewhat free shot across, except for the whole Ishimaru problem. And then that is the end of the enemy phase. The Ishimaru is going to untap. And let's grab some cards. Mark Harrigan resets and draws another Soothing Melody. It's great. He's pretty much in like Flynn at this point. And takes a resource, putting him at 2. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going in there and trying to clear the way out with Ishimaru to let Lola get through. Yeah, we'll see. And then Lola will reset, and she will draw. Take the initiative. Oh man, that's going to be really good to be able to maybe evade Ishimaru, if nothing else. And I'll take a resource. All right, Mythos phase. Doom on the agenda number 6 out of 12, plus the 5 on Renfield is 11 out of 12. So Renfield's going to be dying this turn, just letting everyone know. And then encounter card is Mark's card, Eyes in the Walls. Okay, this is a willpower 3, and then I would have to take a bunch of horror. I don't want to do that, so I will go ahead and commit Steadfast. I have, let's see, 6. I have 8 health and sanity remaining. So I am at, this is a +2. So that puts me at 5 to 3. And I'm right next to the entryway. Yeah, I'll let that ride. 5 to 3. And the Chaos Bag says a -3. So I failed by 1, which means I take a horror. Ooh, it puts me at 4 out of 5. That definitely could have killed me. I had to be a little careful there. Maybe should have used Sophie. But I did not die. Thank you, Steadfast. And then Lola's encounter card is a Poltergeist. Oh, that's trouble. Yeah, that's trouble. Well, I might be able to banish him. Yeah, I could banish him. Okay, so the Poltergeist is engaged with me. Cannot be damaged except by spell, relic, or encounter cards. I don't have any good ways to do that. Yeah, yikes, that's tricky. I could get away with him. I could get away from him with take the initiative. Seems the right thing to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with Lola since she's the trickier of them. So Lola's engaged with a Poltergeist. Let's go ahead and evade that Poltergeist. I'm going to switch over to Survivor as my switch for the turn. And I will commit, take the initiative on an evade. It puts me at 7 to 4 on the evade. And the Chaos Bag gives me an Elder Sign. Okay, great. So that is an evade on the Poltergeist. Nice. Okay, Elder Sign also lets Lola do a free swap of her rolls. Do I have anything else I want to do this turn in any specific role? Let's see, I've done a swap. It'll be whatever I end in. No, I'm fine. Let's just go ahead and stay in Guardian. And then for my second action, so that was an evade. For my second action, I'm going to move in to the stone archways. For Spirit's Torment, I will take a horror on David Renfield. Thank you very much, sir. You've given me a lot of money. David Renfield is dead. For that, Spirit's Torment. And then I will move again to the Mound of Bones. And that is the end of Lola's turn. I'll stay in Guardian. Okay, Mark, I'm in pretty good shape here as far as health and sanity after I play this Soothing Melody. So my first action will be to play a Soothing Melody and heal 2 horror from myself, putting me back down to 2 horror. And I get to draw a card. And that card is another Reliable. Okay, I don't need that right now. And then let's move in with Ishimaru and scrap it up a little bit. Definitely. So I will move in with Ishimaru, who will engage me. And then for my third action, let's go ahead and hit her. And I'll throw a grenade at her. And that's going to be a +3 on that. So that's 8 to 6 on this attack. And I will commit a 32 Colt to go 9 to 6 on the attack. And I drew a skull, which I am 2 spaces away, so that is successful. And I will deal 2 damage to Ishimaru with that grenade hit. All right. And that is it. We are now in the enemy phase. The Ishimaru is going to, well, first the hunters are going to hunt. So these two, the Corpse Dweller and the Spectre of Death, are going to hunt. I'll have them come down here to the secret passage with the Poltergeist, who is going to ready, but does not hunt. He haunts. And then Ishimaru is going to hit Mark for a damage and a horror. So Mark will be at 3 horror. And he'll take a 4th damage and draw a card off of that damage, which is another shortcut. Nice. And that's it. So then we reset. Mark's draw is on the hunt. Okay. I doubt I will play that. Well, yeah, actually I might, because I could maybe just go get a basic ghoul or something and then kill him with the grenades. Yeah, it seems like the right thing to do. And I'll take a 3rd resource. Lola will reset. And we'll draw... Ah, yes, perfect. It is her weakness. I lose any Guardian cards that I have in play, which is nothing. So that is a whiff on her weakness. We flip out the top card of her deck, which is Seeker. It's an art student. And so she will switch to Seeker. And take a resource, putting her at a bazillion resources. All right, Mythos phase. Doom number 7 of 12, because David Renfield is now dead. Yep. And encounter cards. We're getting down to the bottom of the Mythos Mythos deck, the encounter deck. So Mark's card is a Poltergeist. All right, so Mark is now engaged with the Poltergeist as well, which is a bit of a pain in the ass because I can't just kill it with grenades. Doesn't work that way. So Ishimaru and the Poltergeist engage with Mark. And then Lola's encounter card is a Ghoul Minion. Okay, that's the one I wanted Mark to have. Well, that certainly sets up an interesting situation. Couple enemies here. Lola is in Seeker. And hasn't switched yet. Yeah, okay, I know what I want to do. Lola's going to go first. I will switch to Survivor. Take my switch for the turn. And I'm going to go ahead and play Active Desperation and throw the fingerprint kit at the ghoul. You hearing this, Metastrophic? You loving it yet? I'm not going to need any more clues, so the fingerprint kit is disposable. And that is going to be +4 on the attack, so that is an attack of 8 to 2. And I draw out of the encounter bag, a chaos bag, a -1, so that's a big success. The ghoul minion gets hit upside the head with a fingerprint kit and killed. And the Active Desperation pays me off 4 resources. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4 resources, putting me at untold amounts of money. What do I even have? 15, 21 resources. Crazy. That was Lola's first action. And then for her second action and third action, we are just going to keep on moving. So I will move into the narrow shaft, and I will move into the Well of Souls. Now I've ended my turn on the Well of Souls, and I will discard 2 random cards from my hand, which is something worth fighting for and prepared for the worst, neither of which I am going to play. And that's Lola. All right, Mark. I will spend my first action to target the poltergeist with the enchanted blade because that is legal. So I will fight at +2, so 7 to 3 on the fight. I will not add anything to this. And I got a cultist. Oh, that's interesting. Cultist. If this token is revealed during an attack, actually it is, and the skill test is successful, it deals 1 less damage. Oh, that's a pain in the ass. All right, well, there it is. So I would normally be doing, I'll empower the blade so that it would normally deal 2 damage, which would have killed the poltergeist, but it will instead only do 1 damage to the poltergeist. And a cultist token finally does what it's supposed to do, which apparently has pissed me off. And then for Mark's second action, I will do that again. Should have played On the Hunt. All right, and then I will hit again, and this is at 7 to 3. And I get a -1. So that is successful, and I will charge up the blade just to be able to draw the card and heal the horror. So the poltergeist has been killed. And because I had an empowered blade, I get to draw a card and heal a horror. So I'll heal the horror, putting me back down at 2 horror. And I draw a card, which is Shell Shock. This is my personal weakness. For every 2 damage on you, take a horror. That was close. I have 4 damage on me, so I take 2 horror, which puts me at 4 out of 5. Whew, that was close. I knew that was coming. And that leaves me still engaged with Ishimaru. And I will go ahead and hit her with some grenades. And that is going to be a 8 to 6 on the attack. And I will commit. Do I want to put a Sophie in on this? 8 to 6. I'm only 2 spaces away. I will commit an On the Hunt. 9 to 6. And I got a -3. Whoa, that was close. Okay, I did it though. The On the Hunt was committed wisely, and Ishimaru has been killed by a grenade. She goes to the victory display as she has 0 victory points, but it takes her out of the running for being recycled. And that is it for Mark. I will not play the shortcut because I don't want to deal with the effect of the Well of Souls this turn. I definitely don't want to deal with the effect of the Well of Souls, so I'll stay right where I am. That's the end of the investigation phase. Enemy phase, we're going to go ahead and have a couple hunters coming after us. The Corpse Dweller and the Spectre of Death are coming chasing. They're still a couple spaces behind. And that's it for the enemy phase. Mark resets and draws Unspeakable Oath Curiosity. Okay, so this is going to be bad for Mark. Campaign mode only, peril hidden. Secretly add this card to your hand. But yeah, whatever. The only way I can survive this is if I successfully investigate a location with no clues on it. Well, that's actually possible at the Gate to Hell at the end. Yeah, maybe. Okay, well, anyway, this goes into my hand. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 4. And then Lola will reset. And she will draw a Take Heart. That is the only card in her hand. And she draws a resource, putting her at 77.5. Okay, so we're on to the Mythos phase. Doom number 8 out of 12. And let's draw a couple encounter cards. We have 2 left in the deck. Mark's encounter card is a Ravenous Ghoul. Okay, interesting. 3 fight, 3 evade, 3 health. And he is engaged with Mark. Suppose I could have seen that coming. Should be interesting. And then Lola's encounter card is a ghoul minion. All right, well, there we go. A couple ghouls coming out at the very end. I just need to get both of us to the gate to hell. That's all we need to do. Mark, however, cannot take the attacks of opportunity, so I do need to get away. Ugly. I could attack, move. All right, let's see what Mark's turn has to say. Let's start there because that's gonna matter. So Mark's first action is going to be to fight the Ravenous Ghoul using a grenade. And that's going to be 8 to 3. Chaos Bag says -4. Yikes. But that's 2 damage to the Ravenous Ghoul. And then for my second action, I will fight the Ravenous Ghoul again with my last grenade. And that is it for the grenades. They go away. 8 to 3. And I got a cultist, which means I would do 1 less damage. Luckily, doing 1 less damage still kills the ghoul. So the ghoul is killed by the grenades. Now, I have a decision to make. I can get out of here. So that was 2 actions. I can get out of here. Or I can try to save Mark from losing his 2 experience points. That's what I would like to do. So yeah, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send Mark for his 3rd action over to the Well of Souls. And then I'm going to send him up into the Gate of Hell with Shortcut. So I'll play Shortcut, and that gets me to the Gate to Hell. Okay, so what happens here is that now Lola, who's sitting here with a ghoul minion, if I move into the Gate to Hell, then the game is over. I advance. It says, objective, if we are both at the Gate to Hell, we advance. And that means Mark is not going to gain very many experience points at all from this game. Maybe 1. Yeah, so that's really not ideal. I really like to get 3 if I can. But I'm also not in great shape as far as hanging around here. But let's try it anyway. So Lola's going to spend her first action to punch the ghoul minion in the face at 4 to 2. He does not have retaliate, so let's just give him a shot. 4 to 2 gets me a cultist, so that's an attack. That's a success, but it does 1 less damage, so no damage. Second action, I'll attack him again, 4 to 2. And I get a 0, so that's successful, so I deal a damage to him. And then I'll attack him again. 4 to 2. And I get a 0. Hooray! Lola has fisticuffed a ghoul minion into the grave, back into the grave, with all 3 of her actions. Now she has ended the turn in the Well of Souls, which means that she must either take a direct horror or discard a card from her hand. I'll take the direct horror because I have Take Heart in hand. I'd rather not lose. And I have plenty of horror. Well, some horror. So now that puts me at 3 out of 6. And that is the end of the investigation phase. The hunter enemies are going to be chasing a little bit more, but they're still quite a ways behind. And then we go to reset. So Mark's draw is a smoking pipe. Okay. Not bad. Not great either. And I'll take a resource, putting me at 5. Lola resets. I never changed roles there, but I want to be in Survivor, so that's fine. And she draws. Plus, I've been through both of my weaknesses, so it don't matter. Improvisation, that's her strength skill. It is Lola's signature card. And right now, it's a couple wild icons. So let's go ahead and see what we get out of the Mythos phase. Doom number 9 out of 12. Hopefully this stalling won't come back to haunt me. I have to reshuffle the encounter deck. All right, the encounter deck is reshuffled. I'll go ahead and give that an on-screen cut. And Mark's encounter card, the Pit Below. Okay, well that's okay. The Pit Below goes on the Gate to Hell. We won't both be there at the end of the round because if we're both there, the round is over. But unfortunately, it gives the Gate to Hell 1 more shroud. Boo! That's what I say about that. Yeah, I really, really am upset about that, actually. Nothing I can do about it. And then Lola's encounter card is Eyes in the Walls. Okay, so I need to just make sure I don't fail this spectacularly, though I am at 4 willpower. So let's see, 4 to 3. I will commit the improvisation to this to go 6 to 3. And get a -2, so that's successful. So the improvisation's 2 wild cards come in handy, and I take no horror from Eyes in the Walls. So the question now is, can Mark manage to investigate this location? Let's go first and find out. So Mark's first action will be to investigate. Puts me at 2 to 2. If I use Sophie, which was what my plan was, I will end up at 3 to 2. Yeah, let's do it. I'll use Sophie, take a damage to give me +2 to the skill test, which will flip Sophie over. And now I have -1 to all of my skills. But I draw a card for taking the damage, which is an emergency cash and doesn't help. So I am doing this test at 3 to 2, and I will commit a reliable to go 4 to 2. All right, I just need to successfully investigate is all I need to do. I am at the starting location, so skulls are 0, so that's good. And I got it. I got a skull. Yay! So skulls are 0, so that was a successful investigation. I investigated a location with no clues on it, so Unspeakable Oath Curiosity has been discarded from hand, and I can now leave before the Pit Below takes me. Oh, you know what? I've been forgetting to remove the locations that are farthest. Oh, I wonder how much of a problem that would have caused. Just been totally forgetting. Well, asterisk on this. So I'm pretty sure that we would be These two would be gone. This would be gone. The poltergeist would probably be here, and 2 damage would have been dealt to it, so that would have been gone. The secret passage, I think, would be gone also. And I bet that these 2 monsters would be a little bit closer to me. There's no way to know how much closer I would have tried to play that as much as I could. I just forgot. I hardly ever choose this ending. But I think it's okay. I think we're all right. We've been well ahead of them for a couple rounds at least. So that was Mark's first action. For his second and third actions, I'm just going to... I don't have any more weaknesses in my deck. I'll draw a card for my second action. I drew a Blackjack level 2. That's a fun card, but don't need it right now. And then for my third action, I'll just take a resource so that I don't do anything stupid. And then Lola will spend her first action to move into the gate to hell. And that's both of us there, and we advance. Act 3B. The catacombs rumble and collapse behind you as you make your escape. You are able to follow the stranger's shadow, tracing his steps to find your way through the labyrinthine passages. You cross the threshold of the catacombs entrance, a wave of rubble and bone chips following in your wake. The deafening noise of falling debris crashes behind you, and you turn to find the entrance blocked by a newly formed wall of bone and rock. Just as you're ready to depart, a partially charred skull bearing a strange diagram rolls to a stop at your feet. There is no sign of the stranger anywhere. Resolution 1. Yay, we win! Yeah, sorry about that little gaffe on not removing the locations. I can't go back really and figure out what would have happened, but I think that that's pretty close to what would have happened. Yeah, we barely got out of there alive. It was close, but we did it. And resolution 1 is going to lead us to some interesting choices, which I will discuss in just a moment. Resolution 1. The burned skull holds the key to everything. You are sure of it. You've tried every method available to you in studying the diagram it bears, but the answer eludes you still. You have brought the skull to experts, occultists, and professors. You have even tried speaking with the skull on more than one occasion. Exasperated, you place the skull on your night table and try to get some sleep for the first time since escaping the catacombs. As you fall asleep, you cannot shake the sight of the diagram etched in the skull's forehead. You awaken with a spark of inspiration and rush to the Musée du Louvre, a famous Parisian museum housing tens of thousands of paintings, drawings, and archaeological finds. You spend days exploring the museum, every display, every collection, every single object of art that might hold a clue to the diagram's meaning. Finally, you see it. A painting depicting a beautiful island town weathering a torrential storm. Waves crash against the stone of the outer wall, the tide threatening to swallow the island whole. Lightning flashes around the tower of the abbey above the village. A whirlwind of black clouds churns in the sky above. The diagram from the burned skull you hold in your hands is recreated perfectly in the stained glass of the abbey. The title of the piece is "The Path is Open." In the campaign log, record that you know the site of the gate. Remove all special symbols from the chaos bag and then add 2 cultist tokens to the chaos bag. That's where we're currently at, so no changes needed. If Ishimaru is in the victory display, she is. Record her name under VIP slain. And we earn victory points equal to the victory X value of each card in the display. All right. So as far as victory points that we earned, we cleared off the narrow shaft, the well of souls, and the, whatever that thing's called, the Tomb of Shadows. Is that what it's called? Yes, the Tomb of Shadows. So we had 3 victory point locations that were cleared off. So we're going to earn 3 VP. There were not any victory point monsters that we killed, unfortunately. We did take out Ishimaru, but she is a victory 0 monster. And we never decided to go after the big guy. We just kind of did a merry chase around him. We also will get a tally mark on chasing the stranger because we dealt with him. And I think that'll put us at 5 tally marks on that, which is pretty good. And that is the end of the Pallid Mask. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope you had a good time. I think that these decks are really interesting. They're a little wacky together, but Lola was doing her job, doing her work. She always takes a little bit of cajoling to make it all kind of play out. But the benefit of it is she gets access to cards in every class. So I was playing, except for Rogue, I played cards in every other class, and all of them helped me at one point or another. Getting the newspaper online was helpful for that one very important test. And then, of course, because at that point there were no ways to spend clues, I was just kind of in it was sort of a dead card in play. But I ended up with a pile of resources. I really am sorry that I ended up losing the hyper awareness, because I could have been just dropping lots of money into that to be able to investigate when I got to those high shroud locations. So that was definitely a misplay. I know I do have another hyper awareness level 2 in the deck that I never drew. And I would have been able to be paying for money for that all day long. So I think Lola's really, her level ups are sound, and I'm just going to kind of keep going with them. I might grab another crystalline elder sign for the 3 XP that I have available to me. I'm hard pressed to think of something better to have in play. Trade out the rosary for an elder sign. I think that seems like a good idea. For Mark, I was loaded down with guns. I didn't need them for the grenades and a blade, and I didn't need them for the longest time. But then when it came down to it, I needed them. So here they are, all gone by the end of the scenario. And I think that's all working pretty well too. And Mark just is always playing this dangerous game of, can he keep his sanity in check? So the Hallowed Mirror really did a lion's share of the work there. So glad to see that all working out. Two copies of Active Desperation actually doing what they're supposed to do again. Definitely been the MVP card of Lola's deck over the course of this campaign. And we made it. We'll see you the next time when we head off to Mont Saint-Michel, the island with the abbey and the church. And we're going to be trying to find the way into dim Carcosa in the scenario Black Stars Rise. Until next time, you can always reach me at any of the locations I'm going to list below in the description of the video, on my SoundCloud, on my YouTube channel that you're watching right now. You can find me on Facebook at I've Got a Plan Podcast. That's IVE, no apostrophe, Got a Plan Podcast. Or you can email me anytime at tpfiscus@gmail.com. I can be found on the Reddit for Arkham Horror the Card Game, and on the Discord for the Mythos Busters podcast or the Drawn to the Flame podcast. Thanks for watching. I'm glad to have a video series coming back your way, and you'll be seeing more of these in the very near future. But until then, let's have fun.